everyone. Hello, my little dyslexia community. Here we are in Real Talk with Norda and with my new guest. She's 38 years old and she's from United States. She works in area of entertainment and hospitality. She is diagnosed with dyslexia in the first grade at the school and her support in the journey were her parents and some teachers when she was younger. Her hobbies are karaoke, hanging out with friends, and discovering new places. She keeps trying to grow in her entertainment. And also, she would like to keep trying to reach out to others with learning difficulties and try to help them and motivate them. And here we are. She's Julia Brown, and she's very welcome. Hello, dear Julia, and how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm really happy because we doing this interview and you decided to share your dyslexia story, not just with me, with our little dyslexia community. So are you ready for Real Talk with Norda?
I am so ready.
Great. Okay. My first question for you is dyslexia in your school time. Could you describe to us your first difficulties in school with your dyslexia?
When I was realizing that I had dyslexia?
Yes.
When I was so little, I didn't even realize I really had a learning disability. My issue mainly was speaking. I made up my own language, and that's what was frustrating. I wasn't speaking English. I was making up my own language. So I didn't know it was a disability. I just was frustrated that others couldn't understand what I was saying. So that was my main concern, I feel, as a child at that time.
And when you started your schooling, what were your first difficulties with letters and reading? When your parents realized that it's maybe dyslexia?
Just being delayed. My mom actually would work with me before I went to school, before I went to public school in the United States. So, because I was so tiny, I was really little, and my birthday was on the cutoff date. So she worked with me for a year before I went to school. Even though I worked on the alphabet and everything, I still was behind with others. So other kids would be working on different projects and the teachers would work with me longer. I didn't understand well.
And as you said, you was really frustrated because of your difficulty with speaking and everything. Could you describe dyslexia in your emotional life? What kind of emotions did you feel when it comes to reading and writing and those sort of things connected with dyslexia?
Very frustrated because I had a lot of friends that were straight A students. And I didn't understand why I was not a straight A student, because I would work really, really hard. And I just couldn't, be that straight A student like they were, even though I was getting special help and I still had to work harder than they could. So very frustrated and, sometimes felt like I just wasn't as smart as everybody. So it was very frustrating.
Yes. And I want to ask you, how do you deal with your dyslexia today? Do you have some positive attitude towards dyslexia, or what kind of feelings do you have about dyslexia?
I feel like sometimes I just have to make sure I take my time on things, because if I rush, then it comes into hot mess. It gets all messy. I still get frustrated at times, as an actress, it takes me longer to memorize lines than other people. So sometimes people don't want to take me as serious as a performer, even though a lot of my performing now, I do a lot of improving, so I make up my lines, and I do a lot of physical acting. So not necessarily I have to use lines, but at the same time, I still want to be taken seriously. Yes. So it frustrates me that I'm doing all these things, but some people know I have these situations, so they don't take me as serious. So it's frustrating because I want to keep growing in my career.
Yes,
I want to have knowing who I am, and so yeah, that's a challenge. But with traveling and driving, I feel like I've done it so much now since I moved to Florida. I moved from Indiana to Florida, and Florida's a lot bigger than Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And I think GPSs are very helpful.
We were talking about like your feeling today, about how do you feel about your dyslexia today, and you said you started to speak about your professional life. Like, could you share with us what kind of influence dyslexia has on your job? Like, does dyslexia have some positive sides in your job?
So I would work with the children, and I had like kids from all different types of situations. And with my dyslexia, I want to like think outside the box and work with these kids and motivate them and tell them not everything, because they're children, they don't need to know everything, but try to motivate them and make them, realize that they don't, that they can work as hard as they can and get where they need to. They can't just quit, because there's types of dyslexics that either quit and don't keep growing, and then there's dyslexics that, like Albert Einstein, Cher,
Yes.
there's the people from all over the world that are unbelievable, and trying to give that information to children that they can overcome challenges, even though they may still have challenges. They still can overcome the challenges. And that's what I really was trying to do when I was teaching. And when I still teach, do workshops and all that. But when I'm doing that, when I'm trying to work with the kids and adults too, because I feel like adults still have a situation too, because they're like, why am I struggling through this? I am such and such age and I shouldn't be dealing with this. And I feel like if I'm able to tell my story, then that might make somebody else feel better. Because I know I have days and I'm like, why am I doing that? I get stuck. And I'm like, why am I doing that? And it frustrates me and makes me depressed. And then like, okay, listen, we had a bad day. Tomorrow's a new day. Let's try to learn from that and get better.
Yes, it's true. Yes, this is really true. It's same with me. Like when you have that bad days, like stuck with that, and you are like, you don't know what you need to do, and you become sad and angry. And yes, it's like, it's not a good thing. But if we give our best and do the best thing, we can overcome our fears and our negative feelings. And could you share with us your dyslexia strengths, like few strengths, and your dyslexia weakness, like few things that you are good at and some things you are not good at, and those things are connected with dyslexia?
All right. Well, dyslexics typically, I'm not saying for everybody because I don't know every dyslexic around the world, but typical dyslexics are more right-sided in the brain, so they're more creative.
Yes.
So are very artistic, and I'm going to say there's dyslexics that whatever. I have cousins that are dyslexics and they're engineers. You wouldn't expect me to do engineering. I'd break things. But so I'm very creative, so I can use those abilities that I have from dyslexia, that I have to think outside the box more. So that helps me with figuring out schedules, planning things, being, more artistic with my theater, my entertainment. So that's definitely a strength with dyslexia, I feel. My cognitive disorders. Weakness, I get lost at times. I'm bad at numbers and I'm not good at memorizing. And those things are pain in the butt at times, because you're like, I need to know numbers at times. And memorizing lines as a performer, actress, like I said, not being taken serious like I should be. And it's something I have to keep working on, become a stronger person, artist.
Yes. Yes, and could you, like, I'm same in those weaknesses, like numbers are my biggest weakness. And could you share with us, do you have some role models which inspire you to like improve yourself and to be better in some things in your job, for example? Do you have?
I do have somebody in my life that she's 99 years old, and I mean, I didn't talk about it now. I'm also a massage therapist, but she would always, I'd see how hard she worked and everything in her life, and she was a massage therapist, and she taught me how to do massage therapy when I was a young age. And I feel like, wow, she's 99 years old. So I always look at her on how strong she is and who she is, and I'm like, I need to keep working hard like she is, because how a 99-year-old that can keep, doing stuff and very fine. I feel like my grandmother, who passed away a while ago, she was a big mentor to me, because she would like read to me, and I don't know if she was that artsy. My grandma was a home ec teacher, and she would do cooking stuff with me. But I was, I would read to her when I was having reading problems, because my mom would be supportive, but at times, she's a mom, and she'd be like, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I was like, well, I can outread and do that, because I was having issues. So that summer, when I was staying with my grandma, when I was doing like a music camp and staying with my grandma, I would read my grandma every single day, like these history little books that I liked. And so I feel like I got a lot better at reading just, with my grandma. And she was like I said, she wasn't like the most artistic person, but she was still supportive on me, doing different things.
Awesome.
And
Awesome, great. And for the end of our interview, could you share with us like your message to our dyslexia community? What do you think, as dyslexic, what is the most important thing for you?
I think supporting each other, because right now people are really broken, and showing love and just trying to show different tools on how to help everybody out better. I think as we can keep getting tools for children and adults, maybe adults that still don't realize they're dyslexic, that it's okay, and that you can overcome a lot of things. And we have great, I can't speak, speak myself, technologies that people need to have their hands on that can help us out a lot. You can look up words now. When we were younger, you'd look in a dictionary, but you wouldn't be able to Google something. That helps out a lot. So I feel like getting those sources out and supporting each other are important.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And dear Julia, thank you so much for being part of Real Talk with Nora. Thank you so much for sharing your dyslexia story with all of us. And of course, I wish you all the best, and just keep going forward. And really, thank you for being here. And of course, to my dear dyslexia community, thank you so much for watching this interview, and don't forget to watch other interviews of Real Talk with Norda. And yes, see you in some other interview. Bye, Julia.